Good morning, Milwaukee, on a beautiful Tuesday, May 21st. It's a beautiful day in Milwaukee. Hopefully you guys are feeling good vibes. So, get it rocking and rolling. So a couple things to note. One, we have some incredibly important updates for you that I really need the group to be paying attention to. One of it impacts how you get paid. I need your help in a positive way. Okay, updates are coming to get you more information faster, but I need your support in doing so. Two, we have a lot of things coming out from a legal and compliance standpoint, and we're seeing some trends where people are going backwards, and we want to make sure that we're practicing good habits now so that when things begin to change this summer, that you're already in good practice and you don't have to figure out how to flex that muscle when it's time to come. Three, and most importantly, we have an incredible guest speaker that's going to pour into you this morning to help you understand how to take advantage of the market of the moment. Make sense? Cool. Before we jump into our guest speaker to start the morning, I have a little bit of a reminder for the group. Okay. Again, as I say, I understand a lot of you, let's just call multitask. And I need you to really hear me this morning on a variety of things. First, mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Okay, we go through them every week in a variety of different ways. And I have to let you know that we had to make the difficult decision on a Friday afternoon to part ways in our partnership with an agent who we didn't believe reflected our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Okay, how you conduct yourself matters. You represent us and we represent you. Okay, and I don't quite frankly understand the need to get into a back and forth, but if there are things that we believe that go in not in alignment to who we are as an organization, and you put us in an incredibly difficult position, we have to make incredibly difficult decisions. Okay, so I want you to hear that directly from me that yes, this stuff happens, because I think I addressed this maybe about 3 to 4 weeks ago as it relates to our decorum and conduct in a very uncertain and unstable time as it relates to what's going on in our global environments. Make sense? So I wanted you to know that that does happen. We do have standards, and nor will we tolerate what we believe to be poor conduct that goes not in alignment to our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Okay. In that same regard, I need a favor. I've seen a general theme or trend that always happens at this time of year when things get competitive. And I see people within our industry airing out dirty laundry in a very public forum. Okay. I don't think it's healthy for our industry. Quite frankly, if you've been paying attention, we have a little bit of a PR issue as it relates to what people perceive our industry to be and how we earn our income. Us airing out our dirty laundry as it relates to who we're doing transactions with or for is not healthy in a public forum. It's not doing us any favors. It's doing our industry a disservice, and you completely undermine the integrity and ethics of those that are doing it at the highest level by giving oxygen to those that aren't. Do you hear me on that? So I need this group to be better at policing their peers. It doesn't matter if they're internal KW or external KW. It doesn't matter. We have to be better as an industry at policing our peers is what is acceptable, because giving oxygen to things that aren't acceptable is not helping us in a time when we need to be galvanizing together to help the public and consumers understand our value. Okay, and the more we shine light on those that we believe don't provide value, the more that we're actually accelerating the narrative of what it is that people view our industry as. Make sense? Sweet. All right. With that, I want to kick it off with something for you as we head into the holiday weekend. And I had the opportunity to hear from an incredible person. His name is Pastor Kenneth Locke. Okay, many of you, mainly on the east side or north side, may know who Pastor Locke is. He's also the pastor for the Milwaukee Bucks, an incredible individual in our community. Last night, he spoke at the Boys and Girls Club Gala that I had the pleasure of attending. And he shared with me the room of a very large contingent downtown at the new Barrett Center, which, by the way, is absolutely spectacular. It's a real asset to our community. But he shared 3 keys to happiness and purpose as he started out his invocation. And he said, 1, you have somewhere to be. 2, you have something to do. And 3, you have someone or something you love. Someone or something you love. And so I want to lead with that this morning as you think about the things that we are prepared to present to you as it relates to how you spend your time this Memorial Day weekend, how you spend your time from a training and education standpoint, how you spend your time within your business, how you spend your time with those that you love and care for. And the purpose, the way you find happiness and purpose is you have somewhere to be, you have something to do, and you have someone or something you love. And I want that perspective to be the guiding light as to the information that you hear from the group this morning. Cool? Sweet. So to kind of set up our guest speaker, and as a reminder, if you didn't know, Memorial Day is next weekend. It's an incredible time to reflect, and those of you who've been around me for a while and you've been with me down at the War Memorial know I have an incredible affinity for those that have served. Take time this weekend to thank someone who has served our country, because it's oftentimes lost as a 3-day holiday weekend. So take 2 seconds of your time and thank those that have served this Memorial Day weekend. With that, I also would be remiss if I didn't mention the Wall That Heals is actually coming to Heartland, downtown Heartland, a really, really cool tribute, May 30th to June 2nd in Nixon Park. It's, I believe, the only location in Wisconsin where this is coming to. So if you have someone you care or love for that would like to see it, go spend your time and take them to it. A lot of people can't make it to DC, but it's a great way to be able to showcase those that have served and honor those that have served for an incredible event coming up in Heartland in Nixon Park this week. Cool? All right. So with that, as I set up James, who's going to come on, I want to help you understand what's winning, and I want to help you understand what's winning by sharing you perspective and keeping perspective at the forefront as to what it is that we do in order to put gas in our cars to get us to keep going and playing the infinite game, right? And what is winning? Here's something interesting. I was looking back at team meetings over the last year, okay? And on this time, last year, this was the lore report year to date in 2023. -29, -24, -29, -24, -26, -22. And we were like, sweet, we're doing better. And we're looking at really tough. We're really looking at a tough spot as we were sitting here in May. And I would tell you, perspective is important as if you want to continue to play the infinite game, because you're not in it for a great year, you're in it for a great career. Now, let's take a look at May of 2024. And my prediction in fourth quarter of 2023 was, I think we hit rock bottom. There are things within our industry that are showing us we've hit rock bottom. And now you can see year to date through April, the perspective that we should have in terms of where the tide is going and how the tide is rising, right? +8, the group, our collective group in Milwaukee's up 27 in terms of closed units. Listings taken units up 5, our group's up 17. Contracts written units up 5 for the MLS, our group's up 11. Incredible, incredible performance in terms of taking your unfair share. And this story wasn't much different in terms of our peers of who is facing similar headwinds and trends at last year at this time. And you can see across the brokerage environment in southeastern Wisconsin what this looks like. You know, we were basically saying, don't panic, even though everything was down mid 20%. And so far through April of year 2024, you can see the trend results and where our peers are performing relative to the market, right? And we talk about how the market so far through April is up 13%. And then we can see where our peers are rising with the tide as the tide rises. And the reason I share this with you is you're a part of an incredible community. And I think sometimes it's often taken for granted or not understood in terms of the perspective you have of the people you're around and the success that you are associated to and with in terms of your peers. It has nothing to do with the brand. It has everything to do with the person on the left of you and everything to do with the person on the right of you, because the environment you're in is important. And recognizing that and understanding how the environment aids in your success, I think, is incredibly helpful and healthy in terms of how you navigate the market of the moment, because it's with who you do it with is what ultimately what matters. So what's winning? Accepted offer insights. I went back and looked at the baseline since we started tracking this. Okay, there was 558 accepted offers that we've started tracking over the last 4 weeks. The average price point of those 558 offers was $430,000. You can see the baselines within list price to accepted offer ratio, earnest money, inspection contingency, cash offers versus finance, average down payments, deals with appraisal gaps, and the average appraisal gap offered. Now, within the last week, I'm going to show you this versus the baseline to help you understand where it is that the market's going. Just within the last week, we have reviewed 118 accepted offers. Interestingly, if you feel like the market's getting more competitive, it's because it is. The list price to accepted offer ratio has increased 200 basis points from 102% to 104% just in the last week. Earnest money has spiked just slightly, now north of 2%. So more people are putting more money down. Inspection contingencies are actually sitting and hovering right around where they had been, 56-44, 56 no, 44 yes. Cash deals has increased slightly from 28% to 32%, with only 68% of deals being financed in the last week. Average down payment of those that are being financed is 19%. Percentage of deals with appraisal gaps is likely remain the same, right around 20%. And the average appraisal gap offered on average is 13,000, whether it's the last 558 deals or the last 118 that were reviewed in the last 5 days. So accepted offer insights for you as you think about it. Now, as we relates to what it is that's winning, I wanted to remind the group, because we haven't talked about it in a while, the Keller Williams listing network, that we're trying to gather intel and information, because in a day where it's incredibly competitive, information and the speed of information is vital for you in order to help you win deals, to be proactive instead of reactive. Okay. Every Monday and every Friday, Willis is sending out the communication as a reminder just to try and source information. And then on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending how much is in there and how much we have to clean it up, we send it back out. And I wanted to remind the group to make sure that you're checking these things so that we're getting you the information you need, or that you have access to information in advance before it hits the MLS to help your clients win deals, that you're proactive in your planning, you're proactive in your communication. And the more information that we can provide you, the more information that you give us, the more likely the increase that we can help you succeed in terms of converting a client into a home that they desire to get into. Make sense? So make sure you're paying attention to those things, because we're trying to get you the access to more information and data in order for you to leverage it. Now, last thing before I turn it over to James for a few minutes is profit share. Today is the 21st. What does that mean? Your profit share hits. And in the theme of perspective, I wanted to give you the perspective of what we shared last year on May 21st. We shared 66,000, and in total for year-to-date 2023, it was 159,000. That's a typo. I can confirm that, right? Now, as of this morning, we shared out $93,505 just for the month of April. And year-to-date, we've shared out $175,809. Again, perspective is important. And in talking about your environment, this is a direct reflection of the productivity of the environment that you are in and the results of our collective community. So for that, I say congrats on your collective success and collective community. So last week, I shared with you a little post that James shared out that hit me in the forehead with like a ton of bricks. And he shared and he challenged the group with, it's not the market, it's you. It's not the market with you. And with that, we have an incredible pleasure of bringing James to Milwaukee on June 5th. James, what do these guys need to know about how you plan to pour into them on June 5th here in Milwaukee?
Well, they need to show up first, right? That would be the first part of it. And thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys that you'd let a Pacers fan show up in Milwaukee this week, but I appreciate that so much. You know, I loved what you opened the team meeting with about defining what is winning. And here's what winning is succeeding in spite of the market. I don't really care what the market's doing and what's happening. What I care about is what you're doing and what's happening. And that's what we talk about every day. So I'll introduce myself real quick. My name's James Shaw. I've been with Keller Williams almost 20 years. It'll be in 19 next month. And I've sat in just about every seat. I was an agent. I ran a team. I was a team leader for 8 years. I was a bold coach. I was a MAPS coach. But when the pandemic hit, I started the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group. And I don't know if anybody is part of that group. I trust that you are. There's 120,000 people who are. So if you're not one of them, you're the weird one, honestly. So you might as well join Pivot Shift Ahead. And in Pivot Shift Ahead, we do a call every single weekday morning. Now, Milwaukee's Central Time. Is that right? Aren't you guys on Central Time in Wisconsin?
We are indeed.
Yeah. So it's at 7 o'clock Central, which I get is early for some of you, but we've got people that get on the West Coast. That's 5 o'clock in the morning for them. But it's inside the Facebook group and also online, a 20-minute mastermind call every day. We've literally been doing it for over 4 years. And what we talk about is exactly what you just talked about in this meeting, how you win. So I'm excited to come because I went to, what was it, 2 years ago or so, I came to Milwaukee and we did a shift workshop, which was totally awesome. And if anyone was at that, thank you for coming. We had a huge crowd and a great time. And then over the last couple of years, I've asked myself, what's the difference between an agent who wins in this market and an agent who doesn't? And I think I've figured it out. I think the challenge that we have in today's market is that most real estate agents are addicted to education, but allergic to implementation. You're addicted to education, but allergic to implementation. You love to show up for meetings like this and take good notes and get all the ideas and write stuff down, and you get on my mastermind call and, oh, that was a good idea, and you download the one-pagers and the playbooks and all the stuff. Who struggles with this besides me? And then when you go to implement, it's like, ugh. I think we are addicted to education and struggle and are allergic to implementation. And so when I wrote RISE, it stands for Real Estate Inspiration, Strategy, and Execution. Notice 2 of the 3 words are about taking action, strategy, and execution. And I think you struggle more with execution than you do with anything else. So when we come in for RISE, I forget the date, June 6th or 5th or something like that. You'll have it in the thing. What is it, June what?
5th.
5th, I'll be there. Can't wait. June 5th. We're going to go through the 4 key things. I think here's where we struggle and why sometimes we don't succeed in challenging times is it comes down to one of 4 areas. Either A, it's our mindset, just how we perceive the opportunity in today's market, how we get through the middle time, which is what we're in right now, right? We're in May into June. This is the middle of the race, if you will. So our mindset around the market, or our mindset around how we persevere in tough times, our mindset about how we're prepared for changes coming to our industry. So mindset is one of them. I think the other one, and it's similar to mindset, is perspective. What's our perspective about the opportunity right now? What's our perspective about what's ahead with the buyer changes that NAR has proposed and intends to implement late this summer and early fall? What is our perspective about value for our buyers right now based on interest rates and home prices? Our perspective around the market has an impact on how we participate in it. So that's number 2. So number 1 is our mindset. Number 2 is our perspective. Number 3 is our leads pipeline. If our leads pipeline is shallow, then our mindset's pretty junky and our perspective is bad. But if our leads pipeline is really deep, then our mindset and perspective are different. So we want to grow our lead pipeline. Why? Because you need to eat in May and you need to eat in December. And so we want a deep pipeline full of leads and full of opportunity. That's number 3. Number 4 is money. If we don't have deep reserves and consistent cash flow, then our perspective gets bad, our mindset gets bad, and our leads will dwindle up. I was talking with Gary a while back. I like to name drop him when I'm in on team meetings. It makes me feel important. But I had a one-on-one with Gary not too long ago, and I said to him, I said, Gary, I talk to agents every single day. I've got 1,500 people that get on my mastermind call every morning. I've got 120,000 people in my group. I have a private mastermind community that people pay to be a part of. There's 1,000 members of them. I'm talking to agents every single day. And they feel, I'm getting a sense that they're anxious, they're nervous, they have some concerns. So Gary, you talk to people every day. Are you finding the same thing? And he said, yeah. And Gary's meeting with, he just did it last week, his top 200 mastermind. He's meeting with the top agents in the company. And he says, yeah, I find they're anxious. Some of them are anxious and some of them are nervous. And I said, why? Why do you think that is? And he said, because they don't have one of 2 things. They don't have enough leads, or they don't have enough reserves, or they don't have enough of both. If your leads pipeline is shallow, you get nervous because you don't know where your next deal is coming from. If your reserves are low, you get nervous because you don't know how you're going to pay your bills. And if both are low, the anxiety goes way up. So with the course that we're doing in June in Milwaukee, we're going to address leads and finances, but we cannot address a deep leads pipeline and deep reserves without first looking at mindset and perspective. So when we get together 9 to 3, we will mastermind and workshop around those 4 areas, and you will leave with strategies that you can execute and implement immediately. That's the idea. We'll bring in all the books, MREA, The One Thing, Shift, along with some of my other favorites, and then database strategy. I think the database play we will teach you, which comes from my friend Jordan Freed, is the easiest way to communicate with the database to guarantee referrals and repeat business opportunities. So anyway, I hope that's what you wanted. I think that, again, if you look at it, there is massive opportunity ahead for you. You're seeing that in the lower numbers I just saw. What you guys are experiencing in your market center is not happening in most. So you have a lot to celebrate. We want to be educated, but also implement. And then finally, we want to make sure we've got the right mindset and perspective so that we can deepen our leads pipeline and deepen our reserves. That's what I got. I hope this was helpful.
James, we sincerely appreciate it. I wanted to help give a little bit of an insight as to what these guys can expect on June 5th. I know that when people are anxious and they're nervous, implementation becomes more difficult. And what we're trying to do is give them the resources to remove the anxiety, provide confidence in order to create action.
100%. And I think, just real quick, that we have to remember that motivation is a result, not a reason. We get motivated after, not before. And so what we'll do in Rise is give you easy things to implement. I'll introduce something called a 5 p.m. protocol, which is something that you can do at the end of the day that takes 20 minutes that will allow you to feel as if you have momentum moving into the next day. And if you feel momentum, if you feel progress, if you feel like the journey you're on is getting results, you're more likely to take action the next day. Folks, it isn't the market. The market has zero impact on the individual agent's production. It has an impact on the overall industry. It has an impact on a market center's opportunity. But for you, it has none. Because there'll be 4 million transactions this year, 8 million sides, and your goal's what, like 36? Yeah. I think there's 36 inside of 8 million. You just got to go find them. It does take more effort. Your skill set has to improve. It's a little bit tougher. You're probably going to have to talk to more people. But once we know that and can strategize around it, any goal is possible. That's what we'll do in June. So I hope to see you there.
Awesome. James, appreciate you jumping on and being in our group.
Be well. Bye-bye.
All right, group, there you go. June 5th, join us with James. Everything we're doing right now in terms of, you've heard me talk about this, helping you sharpen your axe, is to give you a variety of different perspectives as to what you need to do and how you implement it in order for you to take action in navigating an uncertain time within our industry. Make sense? So James is joining us on June 5th. Be there down at the War Memorial. Cool. All right. With that, training and education. Quick fly through as a reminder, no team meeting next week, and we will have the June calendar out for you this week. For those that participate in the investment mastermind tomorrow from 1 to 3, because of the size of the group, it has been switched over to the new Barrel and Ale House, which is right down the street from the Southwest Market Center, because that community continues to grow. So the real estate investment mastermind is happening tomorrow from 1 to 3. If you didn't hear me before, you'll hear me again. James Shaw will be here on June 5th. Be there or be square. All right. Now, if you tuned us out, I need you to tune back in, okay? Because we have some very important operational updates that I need your help. Need your help in order to advance us to move forward. So, a few things. One, I talked about market share within the city of Wauwatosa. We had the city of Wauwatosa housing survey. There was there were some edits that needed to be made, so it did not go out last week. It will be going out today. Please, if you wouldn't mind sharing your perspective on the Tosa housing market, it's going to help them create a strategic plan moving forward in terms of how they attract developers, in terms of the housing stock they desire within the Tosa community. 2, the offices will be closed at noon on Friday. Why? It is important to me that our group, in terms of who serves you every single day, has an opportunity to get a head start on their weekend in order to recharge their batteries. Here's what I know. The amount of stress and pressure that our leadership teams are on right now in the heat of the the spring market is no different than the pressure and stress that you feel every day, right? Last month, we paid out north of, I don't know, $6 million in commissions. It puts a lot of pressure and stress on our systems. And I need to make sure that our group can get a little bit of a head start to recharge their batteries in order to serve you at the level that you expect. Is that cool? Sweet. Also, if you didn't know, Monday is Memorial Day, so the offices will be closed. However, if you need to meet with clients, everybody has fobs that has access to any of our offices that they can get into 24/7. Do me a favor, if you're in here over the weekend and any of the printers are out of paper, just do me a favor, grab a ream of paper and put it back in. Really helpful. You know, the Sunday morning phone call I get while I'm out getting donuts with my kids that the printer doesn't work, and I say, "Did you check the paper?" Just do me a favor. If it runs out of paper, just check the paper. But offices will be closed on Monday. With that, because it's Memorial Day, we have no team meeting. Okay, no team meeting next week. We'll jump back in on Tuesday, June 4th. Now, here's where I need your help. Okay. We are doing a system software update as it relates to transactions within Command. Okay. Now, quick raise of hands. How many of you desire to be able to see where you've paid into your cap in real time or what your expectation is of your GCI? Great. Help me help you. Okay. So, we're doing a software update the first week of June. Okay. What the software update will allow us to do is update commissions, cap tracking, and other systems for managing transactions in Command with an upgraded look to get you real-time live data. Okay. Real-time live data. Now, here's where we need your help. One, if you have accepted offers that you've been holding on to that will be closing in the month of June, we need all of your information entered early by Friday, May 31st. Okay, Friday, May 31st. Now, and trust me, we're going to inundate you with information because I know that people will still mess this up, and that's okay. We're going to help you. Okay. I need you to hold from entering in offers and commissions between June 1st and June 10th. June 1st is a Saturday. June 10th is a Friday, Saturday. In reality, it's just 5 business days, but it spans 2 weekends. Because here's the message if you miss it, this is what I want you to remember. Don't do it, or you will have to redo it in the system process changeover. Okay? So, what's the last day that we are asking you to submit commissions and opportunities within Command? May 31st. Love it. Call and response is working this morning. What is the blackout period in which that we ask you to please not? June 1 until the June 10th. And once June 10th is over, which we will communicate in a multitude of ways, please don't kill us for the amount of communication you're going to get on this because this impacts people's finances and we need to make sure that you're hearing us on this. At June 10th, normal commission submission and processing can occur. Now, here's where I ask of one favor in order to help me help you. In this during this period of June 1st to June 10th, which is actually June 3rd to June 7th from a business day perspective, those closings that happen from June 3rd to June 7th, there will be a slight delay in what you would normally expect from a processing perspective. Okay. We know all of those closings, and you will be hearing from someone on the leadership team to check base with you individually, personally, to best understand how important that process commission is so that we can prioritize those commissions to those that need it the most. Okay. As James alluded to and talked about, those with deep reserves, my ask would be that you have slight patience with us while we're working through a software update. Those that absolutely need it because it had been a while and you're really, really desperate for that closing that's supposed to happen on June 5th, got it. We want to know it so that we can process it as fast as possible. But during this conversion, our back-end systems are going to get very wonky for a little bit, which is what's going to cause some delays. And I'm just asking for a slight patience in that process. Yes.
Get an offer in June that closes in June.
If you get an offer in June and closes in June, no problem. We will still be able to process it and do all of what we need to. It's the week of June 3rd to June 7th where just communicate directly with one of our teams and we'll advise accordingly. Contact the MCA's office. Jen and Emily will help us navigate it. Cool. I'm just going to check the chat because it seems like there is oh, the group's following along. Sweet. All right. We good? Our goal is to expedite processing through the software update. It's not the most ideal time for us, knowing that June is peak season for us. And yet, please, 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 we'll communicate the dates and deadlines accordingly. And I would ask for just, please be patient with us while we're working through this in order to get past it, in order to get you the information needed in real time. Cool? All right. Thank you. With that, I'm flipping it over to Vranik, who has some tech and marketing updates for the group.
All right, good morning, everybody. Okay, so I've got a variety of topics today. The first one that I want to go through is a little update to Command. So this is a really simple update. It's a new feature, but I thought it was really important, so I wanted to bring it up on today's meeting. So basically, you now have the ability to send one-off emails to your contacts. So there's no need to create a separate smart plan or a separate email campaign. You can now go into your contacts and you can select up to 500 contacts and you can send out a simple email. So this is just like a text-based email, not a design-based email, but really simple. If you want to just quickly send out any sort of communication to your database, you can now do that. That's directly within your contacts. And it's included as like a bulk action feature where you can select up to 500, select bulk action, and then send email. So what this does is it utilizes your Command email subscription. So just like any email sent out through smart plans or through email campaigns, you have up to 5,000 email sends per month that are free for your account. So again, it utilizes that Command email subscription. The emails will be automatically logged on the contacts timeline. So again, just like any email sent out, if you send it through the simple based email, it'll automatically log that in the contacts timeline. So you have a history of that communication, what date that was sent out. You also have various formatting options. So you can choose the font type, the font size, you can bold, underline, add a bullet point list, numbered list, choose different alignments. You can add hyperlinks, but the best part is that you can add attachments to these emails. So you can add up to 10 attachments, and then you've got a maximum of 5 megabytes for that size of the attachment. So really great way to communicate out any sort of information to your database, such as open houses in certain areas, if you want to send out a reminder for an upcoming client event, anything like that. Really simple now to just go in, select your contacts, and send out this email. So that's new to Command right now. All right. I mentioned this last week, but I thought it was really important to bring up again. So this is a gentleman, Rory Vaden. He was on the MREA podcast a couple of weeks ago, talking all about personal branding. And he said personal branding is simply the digitization of your reputation. And I know we've been talking a lot about your reputation, how you represent yourself to your clients, to your communities. And we want to provide the tools for you to do that. And so one of them that we talked about last week as well is Smart Signs. So Smart Signs is a local sign installation company that we have started to work with. They're a smaller company. They are awesome guys to work with, super personable, and they offer a really quality product. So they design these signposts so that you can really elevate your listing presence. So they do have local coverage throughout the entire Milwaukee metro area. They have kind of two tiers for that coverage. Primary coverage, which is Milwaukee, Ozaukee, Waukesha, and Washington counties. And then they also have secondary coverage in Racine, Walworth, Jefferson, and Sheboygan counties. And the difference is really just the turnaround time. So it's 2 days for primary coverage and 4 days for secondary coverage. The price is $80 for that install and removal, but they also take really good care of your signs. So they're going to store your signs. They're going to make sure that going to and from their warehouse to your listing, your sign is not going to get scratched up as much. And they're really going to take care of your signs that you've invested your money in. And the best part is that you can customize these signposts to really fit your personal brand as well. And that's free of charge. So all of the information is on our website. So that QR code is going to take you directly to our kwrealtymke.com website with more information and on how to sign up and get started. It's a really simple process. And as you can see, a lot of our agents and our teams have been started to use them. And so you'll start to see a lot of those signs throughout the communities in our area. All right, and any question, you guys, feel free to reach directly out to me. Yeah, Ross.
If we have our signs stored at another company, how do we get them over to that?
Yeah, so great question. If you have your signs currently with another company, they will actually go in and pick them up for you. So I can reach out to them on your behalf and we can coordinate that. But basically, they just need written permission from you so that they can provide that to the other sign installation company so that they have permission to pick up your signs and take them to their own warehouse. So. Yes, easy breakup. So, yep, we'll take care of the breakup for you guys. All right, and other kind of personal branding, marketing updates. We do have the new listing and buyer presentation. So if you guys have kind of looked through your listing and buyer guides and noticed that maybe you need a refreshed guide, we do have those new templates available for you to request through our marketing concierge. And social branding bootcamp. So we had our first one last week. It was a great success. Thank you for those who came out to the Wauwatosa office and joined us. We are back at it this week for your brand creation. So we're going to be talking about, how do you build your brand? What kind of things do you have to start thinking about and where do you start? So we're going to be diving into that on Thursday at the innovation office at 11. It is recorded as well. And we do have a Zoom, but we do encourage you guys to come in person and really, collaborate with other people who are in the training, and our focus is really on implementation as well, like James was talking about this morning. All right, guys, more to come here. So just like if you needed a refresh listing and buyer guides, maybe you need to refresh your headshot. And I'll be honest, I asked Joni for one of our very first headshots and she sent me like the cutest photo ever. Like there's like no difference in these, to be honest. She looks awesome. But if you've taken a look at your headshot and you're thinking, okay, I think it's time for a new headshot, we have opportunities for that as well. And just want to share with you guys, Lake Country had a really successful headshot day yesterday. They had over 56 agents and teams come out to one of Miller Marriott's homes in Delafield yesterday. So they took over 1,300 photos in 3 hours. They had some awesome sponsors, Anchor Solutions and Smart Moves, who sponsored the event. And they had a really great photographer who, again, took over 1,300 photos. So thank you to the Lake Country Group. The ladies out there ran a really great event. And as you can see, they took some awesome photos. So if you missed out on that, Lake Country agents, we do have another opportunity on June 12th. at JSG's Lakeshore Commons. So we are going to be doing that from 10 to 2. So we're going to bump that up a little bit to make sure that we give you guys ample opportunity to sign up for a time slot. So that QR code is live. So if you need a new headshot, need some new marketing materials, scan that QR code. That'll get you into the sign up where you can sign up to take a new headshot. So we've got like 20-minute increments with 4 slots per increment, 20-minute increment. So feel free to use that and sign up for June 12th, 10 to 2. Thank you.
Sweet. Yes.
On an email. Will there be variable data field so that you can do like your first name, and then will the email address be in the BCC field?
BCC, yes. I don't think there are merge fields though.
Thank you.
Question was posed in the new email function of command. Yes, and if you send it out to multiple people, the multiple people will be BCC'd. It won't go to the group. Okay. With that, new headshot who dis within the same spirit, Sheriff Reed, there's been a trend within our group where we've noticed some activity. And if you want to go to the gym, you can't lift 300 pounds on day one. You have to start small and work your way up. What possibly could I be referring to of changes these guys need to be paying attention to? Because there's been some, let's just say, lackadaisical standards around how people are continuing to operate, and change is coming. Sheriff Reed? Maybe Sheriff Reed. Maybe we lost her.
No, here I am. Here I am.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I think my first headshot is in black and white, actually. But what we're going to talk about today is very important, as Charlie has referred. It is something that is going to be mandatory on August 17th. So now we're in the end of May. That gives us time to change our behavior with our clients as far as trust, transparency, and documentation. So that's what I want to talk about today. It's not mandatory now. It will be mandatory in August. We will have probably a new buyer agency agreement by then to help you with what I'm going to talk about today. So what they want, this came out in a letter from WRA a couple of days ago. So if you haven't read it, here it is. I'm just raising awareness so you do know this important information. Prior to touring a home, it will be mandatory to have a written agreement with a buyer, a client at that point, to provide services, brokerage services, identifying properties. Now realize all of these services: arranging a tour, performing or facilitating negotiations on behalf of the buyer, presenting offers by the buyer, and other services. Up to point E, that's exactly what our current buyer agency agreement will be. What they want is, what the NAR settlement wants is identifying other services for the buyer. And the new agreement will have that. But in the meantime, you are going to practice getting that agreement with your buyer prior to touring the home, because that will be mandatory in August. It's not mandatory now, but this is the time to, as Charlie said, work on your skills and presenting your value. The only exception to getting that buyer agency agreement is if you are the listing agent for this property or a sub-agent for this property. And at that point, you are by contract representing the seller, not the buyer. So agreement is not required for that. So if you're in an open house, you're holding your listing open, a buyer walks in, a buyer wants to set another appointment, walk with you, you don't have to get a buyer agency agreement because you are solely representing the seller. But again, all these things will be repeated, all these things will be evolved, and we will be ready for it in August. Next slide, sorry. This is what they're saying the buyer agency by August must include. So it's the written conspicuous disclosure of the amount or rate of compensation that the participant, the agent, will receive, how this amount will be determined, to the extent that the participant will receive compensation from any source. That's pretty much in our buyer agency agreements now. The amount of compensation in a manner that is objectively ascertainable and not open-ended. This is going to be stressed to the client, so they are fully aware of what they are going to be responsible for. A term that prohibits the participant from receiving compensation for brokerage services from any source that exceeds the amount or rate agreed. So if you have an amount of 2.4 in your buyer agency agreement, you cannot receive 3%, or you can't exceed that agreed upon amount. And this is the most important thing that the NAR has to get clear to all the agents in the country. Conspicuous statement that the broker fees and commissions are not set in law and are fully negotiable. We're on board with all of that. We've been telling our clients that. I talked to a buyer the other day. She was reading something in the newspaper that she would get her commission refunded to her. And so I had to set her clear, but I explained the situation to her that we already are a step ahead of it because of the buyer agency agreement already explains what she had to pay. And she agreed. Yes, she said, my agent was very good. And she explained that. I was aware, but this newspaper article saying I should get a refund made me curious. I don't blame her. But she was very happy when I explained it all. Yes, I was given that information. Yes, I feel comfortable with that. So next slide. So as I said, the efforts are underway right now to meld a little more information into our buyer agency agreement. The good thing is we in Wisconsin have a written buyer agency agreement. Our agents are trained to understand what buyer agency really means and the responsibilities of that. We are so way ahead of the curve from a lot of other real estate agents in other states. A lot of them just have a suitable buyer agent. If you're working with a buyer, you're a buyer's agent. Nothing in writing. Nothing. So those states are going to have a lot of changes to make. We don't. We already have almost 90% of it. The only thing that we're missing is what the other new services that we are to provide. So you will have that before this August 17th. So these are the changes that you need to put in your head and work toward, as Charlie said, to start developing these skills now in working with a client and getting them prepared for signing this agreement, which will be modified before we have to use it. Eliminate and prohibit MLS participants, subscribers, sellers from making any offers of compensation in MLS. None of that can be an MLS after August 17th. Require MLS to eliminate all broker compensation fields and compensation information. So you can't even put it in private remarks what you're offering or anything like that. Require the MLS not to create, facilitate, or support any non-MLS mechanism, including the providing listing information to an internet aggregator website for such purposes. I have some questions about that, and I'll get the answers for you. Reinforce MLS participants and subscribers must not enable the ability to filter out or restrict MLS listings that are communicated to customers and clients based on the existence and level of compensation. But the ones that I have highlighted are the ones I want you to pay attention to. Require compensation disclosures to sellers and prospective sellers and buyers. Require MLS participants working with the buyer to enter into a written agreement with the buyer prior to touring a home. That's going to be the biggest change for us. We've been able to get buyer agency agreements at any point in time with the buyer, all the way up to actually writing an offer. Now we have to push that all the way back, which it actually used to be required at the first meeting before touring a home. But we'll all work together to get this taken care of. Is that my last slide?
Yep. So the question, Joni, which I believe you answered earlier, was the open houses. How does it impact? And a client who enters into an open house, when you're working an open house, you are working as a subagent of the seller in that process. So what's the
I'm
question?
sending my client to an open house. So if I say, I get it all the time, I get an email, well, it's coming through, I'm working with an agent. And they come through.
So Brad's question, Joni, is when he sends clients through to an open house that he might not be present for.
Right.
And the question is,
Do I need to have a buyer's agent agreement?
does he need to have a buyer agency agreement for them to go see the home?
Well, the listing agent or the subagent representing that open house will not, cannot sign a buyer agency agreement with that person
That's-
walking through the open house.
The best course of action, get buyer agency, get buyer agency, get buyer agency. Here's my concern, and this is why I asked Joni to bring this up today. Okay. Here's my concern. My concern is I am very well aware many of you are running around with buyers right now and don't have buyer agency. Okay. You don't want to, and you know what's going to happen in August? The buyer that you've been running around with for 6 months, who gets a deal with somebody else, guess what? You know what my response is going to be? Shame on you for not doing your fiduciary and getting your buyer agency signed when you should have in the first place. There really isn't much of an excuse or a reason to say anything other than that. So the reason why we're addressing this now in May is we need to get better at articulating what buyer agency is and why it's important. And if you want to do it on a per transaction basis, because that's what your client desires, great. Work on that now. Get buyer agency signed. Understood? Okay. It will solve all problems. Yes.
Go into the house if you are a prospective buyer without buyer agency, correct? That's the only time you can go to a home without an appointment, without representation. Is that still accurate? So if I don't have anyone, I'm just walking through the neighborhood and I see a house and I'm a potential buyer, but have agency with nobody, can I still go into that open house unrepresented? Yeah, I thought I read that. I want to make sure that's correct.
Yes.
Right. Oh, yes. Because I
Correct.
see it both ways. Okay.
Yep. No, stay tuned. I'm trying to get ahead of it from a proactive standpoint and helping you understand real quick from a question standpoint. I don't have a lot of answers, so let's just hang tight on questions because there's a lot of uncertainty to it. Here's the message that I need you to hear today. Get buyer agency signed. Get buyer agency signed. Got it? You will mitigate your risk. You insure everything else in your life. You want to ensure that a client's a client's, get buyer agency signed. Right, Joni?
Right.
All right. The sheriff is in session. All right. With that, guys, I'll leave you with this. Heading into Memorial Day weekend, there's 3 keys and happiness to purpose, according to Pastor Kenneth Locke, who I heard speak last night. You have somewhere to be, you have something to do, and you have someone or something you love. Focus on those 3 things as you head into the holiday weekend. Thank someone who served our country over Memorial Day weekend, and know that we will help you navigate the uncertainty of what's coming. We just want to help you learn to be proactive to it as we get closer to August. Sound good? All right, guys. It's a beautiful day in Milwaukee. Have a great day. Thanks for showing up.